Welcome to Jets Guru, Jets Content with Daniel Smith every Wednesday night as usual. Welcome to Jets Guru, Jets Content with Daniel Smith every Wednesday night as usual. It's the spot to be every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Make sure alerts are set right. Post an article from the Guru team. Jets all day with producer Junior in the background, holding it down. Dripping in sauce, dipping in a G5 like the boss. Lighting in a bottle, they ride. All gas, no brakes, full throttle. JTS, Jets.
What's
Jets,
going on, Jets Nation? CJ the Painkiller D. Simone here, and you are watching Jets Guru. Now, give it up for your host, Mr. Daniel Smith.
What is going on, everybody? Jets Guru Nation, all the fans out there, it has come. We are finally here, the end of the road. And a long road it's been. It started with the hope and the wonder of what Aaron Rodgers could bring to the New York Jets. And ultimately a blown ACL, a wasted season there, no backup quarterback to take us to the playoffs. Rodgers comes back, and we just think it's going to just go where it needs to go. And it just didn't. And you know what? You know what was so embarrassing? And obviously the most embarrassing part of the New York Jets was the owner, Woody Johnson. I mean, the stuff that came out about Woody Johnson was absolutely disgusting. It turned me sick. I don't want to spend another dollar on this team, knowing how he treated the players, knowing how he just kind of was blasé about letting his son and their friends critique players and make decisions. And, you know, for me, I don't want to participate in it anymore, to be honest with you. I'll always be a Jet fan. I'll always watch the Jets, but until something's rectified, I don't want to spend any more money. I canceled my season tickets. I'm not buying any jerseys. I'm not buying any tickets anytime soon. It's just so disgusting, some of the stuff that came out. And you see, you know, some of the ownership around just sports in general and American sports, and you see how much care that some of these owners have for their franchises. And this guy, he wants the Jets to win so much. That's what everyone reports. That's why he acts so desperate in the way that he controls things. But then he's not smart enough to understand that he's failed in every step of the way when he inputs his knowledge into the football team. And he's made the Jets once again an embarrassment. We thought we had crawled out of it with Joe Douglas and some of the trades. Players were no longer using us as bargaining chips to get higher deals to go somewhere else. It looks like we were drafting okay. We were making okay trades. We were starting to not be the jokes of the league until we became the joke of the league once again. And it started because this could have been all avoided, and this could have been all avoided 100%. They fired Robert Saleh, and we all knew that Robert Saleh probably was going to get fired / needed to be fired depending on the outcome of the season. At the end of the season, though, not 4 or 5 games in, you're like thinking about firing your head coach in a season. You're supposed to go to the Super Bowl, and then you think you're going, or the playoffs, and you think you're going to salvage that. He was the heart of the defense. He's the mastermind of it. It was the only strong thing that you have on your football team. And now you have the defensive coordinator being the head coach, which ups his responsibility. So now he can't even call the plays for the defense. So now the defense uses 2 leaders in one shot. Now you've got someone else who's never done these different things before having to now escalate and be something as a defensive coordinator, which they've never been before. So everyone's taking an escalation and their responsibilities up, and trying to tie this all together now that the head coach is gone. And a lot of players still liked Robert, and they didn't understand because just like the players, the fans knew who needed to be fired, and that was the offensive coordinator. Yes, the Jets could not stop the run, but that was a personnel thing more than a scheme thing at that point in time. The Jets had tinkered too much with their defensive line in trying to get a dynamic pass rush that the Jets now open a turnstile for the run to be able to come through and just damage us from game one to this very last game here. And that was a huge issue for us. But that's not why Saleh needed to go. It was the offense at that time that needed to shapen up. And yes, the defense was a shell of what it was, and we started to see that the rankings don't mean anything. We saw the last 2 previous years what a solid top 10, top 5 defense looks like. This was not it. And we did that with putrid offense. And you could say what you want, and we'll get into Aaron Rodgers shortly. You could say what you want about Aaron Rodgers, but I'll take his statistics every single day of the week. I don't care. Because what I saw from Zach Wilson the previous seasons, you could say QBR, this, that. I don't care. It wasn't 2-to-1 TD ratio nearly every game. We were in most of these games all season. It's the only thing I'll give the Jets a tiny bit of credit for. Most of these games, we were in them. We weren't getting blown out like we were in Buffalo every single game. That's not what was happening. You expect 1 or 2 blowouts a season, usually, from most teams. They usually get blown out once or twice. They usually have a bad loss once or twice. Obviously, we've had several of these losses. But to fire Robert Saleh there was dumb, because you could have fired your offensive coordinator and you just could have passed it on to Downing, and it would have been how it is now, only you would have had your anchor for your defense and still your talking point who could take all the bullets that Aaron Rodgers has been taking for weeks and weeks and weeks, and Garrett Wilson and everybody else who opens their mouth for a half second, because Jet fans are completely frustrated, and they're warranted for it. They're warranted to be frustrated. This is embarrassing what has come out about the ownership, and those are not lies. Don't be mistaken. And no one has even came out. No one has even came out and said, okay, oh no, none of this is true. Like, they don't even care. They don't even care. They're like, whatever, who cares? They are completely embraced in the suck. And now, once again, ownership has made the Jets one of the worst franchises, if not the worst, in the National Football League, because the Giants, even though they suck because they don't have the talent. They don't suck because ownership makes putrid decisions year over year over year over year in terms of taking their personality and injecting it into the team. You're a businessman. Stick to the boxes, man. Stick to the boxes. If it's not working, fire them, bring someone else in. But stop interjecting with your franchise. Look at the New York Knicks. They're such a great example. Dolan had his hands in every single thing that the Knicks were doing, and the fans hated him, and it was always this aura, and it sucked. And the Knicks sucked forever until he brought Leon Rose in. And he just said, you know what, I'm done. I'm just going to back out. I'm going to back up. I got the people for the Rangers. I got the people for the Knicks, and I'm just going to back out. And that was the best thing Dolan has ever did. The best thing he's ever did. Because since then, the Knicks have brought in even more talent for cheap. Your star player took $100 million less so you could build around and make the team. You have young players who are developing on your roster. You have talent all around your team, Hall of Fame talent now. Now people want to come to the Knicks. Just by removing yourself and adding people who are actually intertwined into the game in both knowledge and physical presence. They know what's going on. They're not in boardrooms. They're not overseas in England. It's none of these things. It's pure football. And that's why Joe Douglas, even though he made a ton of mistakes like these guys all do, he also did a lot of good things too. And a lot of the good things that Joe did were rooted directly in football because he's a football guy. Just didn't work because he didn't hit on the quarterback. Let's be honest. Let's be honest here. If the Jets don't win those games and we have Trevor Lawrence, maybe it's a different outlook for the Jets, right? Maybe if Zach Wilson developed here, it's obviously a different outlook for the Jets and for this front office. So we can't knock everything that Joe did on the way out the door, especially when we know how much the owner dabbled within the team in sitting players like Tony Adams out of nowhere, with not going with, we all know now that they wanted Derek Carr. And I'm not saying things would have been 10 times better. He got hurt in New Orleans. He plays well in New Orleans. He does his Derek Carr thing. He plays all right, and then he gets hurt, and he plays all right, and then he gets hurt. Like that type of thing that he's been doing. But it may have looked different, and the expectations may have been different, where you buy yourself more time. There's not a sense of urgency, because let's be honest with ourselves here. Aaron Rodgers, in all reality, needs a whole nother year of recovery. Let's be serious here. And let's talk about Aaron Rodgers for 2025. Because when you look at Aaron Rodgers and you look at his numbers for a lot of the season, for the major statistical categories, Aaron Rodgers was a top 10 quarterback, top 12 quarterback. Good enough for me. Honestly, we need to be honest with ourselves here. To start the season, Aaron Rodgers had a complete breakdown in his offensive line. The Jets' offensive line was putrid to start the season. And Mr. Smith, the Hall of Famer left tackle, was completely washed. He was completely washed, and now I understand why Dallas let him off. And Aaron took some heavy hits, which developed into him kind of getting rid of the ball, one read, getting rid of it for a few weeks to follow after that. Now, the Jets, even amongst that, the bad offensive line, the shaky defense because of the run defense, the Jets were still in a lot of games, and they lost by missed field goals or a drive that didn't come together. It was really unfortunate that they couldn't get those earlier wins, because I think they started to gel a lot better once Fashanu was put in. And we put these statistics up last week about Fashanu and how different Aaron Rodgers looked and this offense looked once Fashanu was installed. Now, yeah, they got their butts whooped last week against a Buffalo team that looks really, really good, man. But at the same time, the way I look at this is that I want to have a quarterback who sits on the damn bench, because the New York Jets are always a little bit outside of getting the number one guy. It wasn't Stafford. It was Sanchez. It wasn't Lawrence. It was Wilson. And the list goes on and on, because we're right outside. Every once in a while, we get the pick of the litter, but a lot of times we miss that generational guy because we pick up a dumb win at the end of the season, and we pick up a win when we don't need it, and it costs us. But Aaron Rodgers has come out and said, hey, I'm willing to have a highly drafted quarterback sit behind me and teach him what I know. And to me, that's eye-opening, and it's important that he said highly drafted because of what happened with Mr. Jordan Love in Green Bay and how everyone basically jumped on Aaron. But Aaron was correct. Yes, Green Bay was correct as well, but so was Aaron. They had a really good team. They probably should have got an impactful player there to help that current team, but at the same time, they realized Aaron was on his way out, and they liked this quarterback, and they wanted to bring him on, and it's worked for them. And so it makes sense. So I get it. So Aaron wanted to put it out there early, like, hey, I'm okay with it. If you draft a quarterback, we're all good, no problem. But the reason why it makes it easier to do this is because you already have Fashanu. You already have Wilson. You already have Brees Hall and Isaiah Davis and Allen. You have weapons here. And we keep forgetting that Aaron Rodgers probably needed a full year recovery. We give everyone the benefit of the doubt that they need a year after to 100% be themselves. But we're not going to give a 41-year-old a full year to recover and see what he can do. We can't get rid of a guy and leave a $30+ million hole and not get any return for him, guys. We can't do it. You can't cut Aaron Rodgers unless he retires. That's fine. You can't cut Aaron Rodgers, get a cap hit like that, and get nothing in return. If you suck, you've already been sucking for 14 years. Draft yourself a quarterback. You already have a left tackle. You already have a running back and a receiver. You got to convince that receiver now. You're going to have to hook him up. But you already have a receiver. You already have, I don't like Sauce Gardner for a lot of reasons. We can get into that another time, but you have yourself a corner over there. Go ahead and draft yourself one of these quarterbacks. Let him sit behind Aaron Rodgers a year, right? Jordan Travis, everyone keeps talking about him. Listen, he was a project. He was a project guy for a regime that's not here anymore. Draft yourself a quarterback. Let him sit a year behind Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers a year removed from surgery, okay? A year playing off this surgery. I think we might see a different thing. I think we might see better. Yeah, I'm okay. I think, honestly, that the New York Jets need to slow down the process. We need to slow down the process because this is going to be a long trip, guys. We're not going to have the pick of the litter. There's going to be openings for head coaches, and we're not going to be at the top of the chain here, I don't believe. And whoever's coming in might have to accept Aaron Rodgers. And again, I am not as down on Aaron Rodgers as everyone else. He's played bad, but this team has played bad too. We've lost a lot of games without Aaron Rodgers. Field goals, drops. Don't forget, most drops in the NFL now. So a year removed from surgery, the most drops in the NFL. The offensive line, the left tackle, that Hall of Fame left tackle that you got, fell on his face. You haven't been able to get a running game going this year. Brees Hall has not been Brees Hall. That hurts the quarterback too when you know you have to throw, that quarterback's going to have to throw 35 plus times. So for me, please slow down a little bit. Slow it down and realize what's at stake here. Okay? 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years, no playoffs we're looking at. We got to get it right, guys. I can't do this no more. I was 27 years old last time we made the playoffs. I'm turning 40 this year. We got to stop this nonsense. We got to do it right. This man has to do it right, or we're going to have to put the Jets away, guys. We're going to have to tuck them away. We're going to still watch, but we can't give this guy our money anymore if he's not going to slow it down for us. We need to draft a quarterback. We need to hire football people, let them do the football stuff, and he needs to go enjoy his life and reap all the benefits of bringing in talent and letting it work. And if it doesn't work, you fire him, you bring some in. But I don't want to hear Woody Johnson's name interfered again. And yes, I do want to see Aaron Rodgers come back for 2025 because even with a bummed out offensive line, a running game not going, a year off of surgery, the most drops in the NFL, he still was able to put up 2-to-1 turnover ratio. And that's something, 20-something, 24. Let's pull, where is it? Where is it at? I have it right here. Don't I have it right here? I thought I had it right here. Yeah. 24 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 3,600 yards, 63% completion percentage. Come on, guys. I'll take it. I'll take it next year while a young guy sits and learns and he's open to it. And you put him in the last 2-3 games of the season like they did Mahomes, let him get a little bit of work, and then, hey, kid, this is your team. And then for some kind of imagination, if something happens where Rodgers goes on a run, well, then you're working with house money then. Maybe he has a really good season, and he says, hey, I'm going to retire. I took the Jets to the playoffs. Better than what you guys had in like 20 years. Take this young guy and have a good time, but we can't cut a guy and have that big of a hole unless he's retiring. I also would like to retain the services of Devontae Adams with Wilson. I would still think that is fine. There is no problem with the weapons here, guys. We have a defensive line that can't stop the run. Every single game since San Francisco on, it changed the face of this defense. So you need to go ahead and you need to get yourself some big nasty up front to pair along with Quinnen Williams so he doesn't catch every double team and you can stop the run. That's number one. That is the number one thing that needs to happen. And number two, you got to fix the interior of this offensive line. We've got just a revolving door every year of different guards, different centers. We need to establish some presence in the middle and get Mr. Breece Hall some holes to run through. Don't waste Breece Hall's young career. And it wasn't him. All these backs struggle. And you can't tell me, oh, it's the backs. It's not the backs. I saw Breece Hall under worse circumstances. So the offensive line coach, thank God he's going to be gone. He sucked in Tennessee. And I don't like his schemes, his offensive blocking schemes. And I don't like the run call schemes for Breece Hall under this offense, period. So I think Breece Hall under a new offense with better run schemes, better block schemes, is going to do a world of difference for this offense and Aaron Rodgers and everybody else in it. Because if you can't run the ball, then you make your immobile 42-year-old quarterback look exactly what he is. But if you can give him some time, if you can run the ball, and there was a couple times where you see Aaron Rodgers do the play action, how good he is at that, you can get a lot of big chunk plays like that, and you may only need one or two a game to get you a win. But you can't sell that if you can't run the ball. If you can't run the ball, you can't sell it, guys. You can't sell the run if you can't run it. And then, again, you put more of a spotlight on Aaron Rodgers, who's immobile, and an offensive line that's not blocking correctly. So we can't just blame Aaron Rodgers. If we have to eat the money, I want you in the building. I'm getting every bit of your 42-year-old body in this building. And if I'm paying you $30, $40 million, you are playing and you are allowing me, just like Fashanu. Fashanu sat on the bench for games and games and games and games. And he came in a little bit during the season to fill in, but it wasn't that big expectation. You're the starting left tackle. And it was good. Remember the football? Remember NFL when some players actually sat and learned? Not every player is ready to be Jaden Daniels. And then there's a maturation process too, where then now they get to learn who you are. And then year two, you see a drop off from some of these guys where I think if they had time to sit and really absorb the game, it wouldn't be like that. This is a complicated game. It's a fast game. This is what they all tell me. I'm not saying this. This is what everybody says. It's different. It's a different game than college. But then we want these 21, 22-year-old kids to come in on a crap franchise that hasn't won in 20 years and expect him that he's going to just come in and throw him out the door. And it's just this is why I'm saying that the Jets need to be smart about this. Retain the services of Aaron Rodgers. Retain the services of Tyrod Taylor. Draft yourself a quarterback and let him sit for a year. Because these guys get hurt like crazy and they're going to have people howling. Put the young kid in. No. Hold on. Aaron sucks in 2025. Come on, Tyrod. Here you go. And then there's another buffer between you and your young guy where he can learn. Because ultimately the Jets have tried this. We've tried the veteran quarterback, the Hall of Famer. We've tried putting the rookie in. We've tried putting in the mid-round rookies in. It doesn't work. We need to draft the last player we really had success with who sat was Chad Pennington. It was Chad Pennington. That was the last guy. What did he do? He sat. And these guys are smart, man. They absorb. Like Zach Wilson they always said that guy was really smart and he really absorbed things. They said that. Sam Darnold, another guy. Teddy Bridgewater was there, man. He was there to be had. But they get excited. They start Darnold. Then there's these expectations because he starts showing flashes. Now look at Darnold. Geno Smith, right? Right? A kind of a lost season. You're like doing the best you can because your front office is not giving you anything to work with. You start this kid, he has a flashy season, and then you think we're going to be okay. But in reality, these guys all needed to sit. They all needed to sit for a year or so and really absorb the game because the talent is there. Of course it's there. We know the arm talent that Geno Smith had in West Virginia. We saw Sam Darnold throw in the rain. We saw Zach Wilson and his athletic ability and his movement outside the pocket. We saw this. But these guys were not exactly ready. Now, they were ready at different tiers. Obviously, Darnold looked 10 times better than Wilson, and Geno looked better than Wilson. But I do believe that some of these guys need time. And the Jets have always been in a rush to get somewhere they've never been since the 60s. Slow it down, okay? Stop talking about Super Bowl. We are leading the United States of America as the worst franchise. 14 years, no playoffs. Slow it down. Can we get to 8-8? Like, that is a healthy question, I believe. Can we just get to 8-8? Can we get to the point where we could do that consistently? Like, even when the Jets are good, it's for a season and then we go back to sucking. There's no consistency year in and year out with this franchise since the day I was born. 85. Okay? So for me, this franchise needs to slow down and really think about what they want to do, because the decision that they make this year, and we say this every year, the decision that the Jets make this year is going to affect the next 5 to 10 years. But it's true, because they make so many bonehead decisions. They put themselves in an accelerated pace to be a loser instead of slowing down. Fire the coach or this and da. And now you're sucking more than you would if you just slowed down. Just slow down. Now, James says, what about bringing back Rex? This is what I'll say about that. I love Rex Ryan, okay? I absolutely love Rex Ryan. His style would be a bit dated. He would have to get an offensive coordinator to join his team and present it in his interview where it would be believable that, okay, he's changing his ideals a little bit. Defense, there's no doubt. Rex can coach defense from today until the end of time. That's not the point. The point is and here's the thing that's not fair to Rex Ryan. And I know I'm sounding a little bit like a homer here. Dan Campbell is Rex Ryan. Dan Campbell is basically a modern Rex Ryan. And Rex is an impressionable guy. And Rex is a smart guy. And I've had time to listen to him now that he's been on TV. And he has good insight. He doesn't always speak it the right way. He says stuff funny and, he's just a character. But you can see the football knowledge there. And this guy knows what he's doing. And I don't think Rex Ryan is a stick in the mud where he wouldn't be open to bringing in, a Kevin O'Connell type of offensive coordinator, someone who's looking to throw the ball more, but work more with the quarterback and let Rex do his thing, so to speak. Has Rex Ryan learned from his time management issues the first time around? Has Rex Ryan learned to cool down his personality a little bit, because the internet age has exploded, and some of the things that Rex would say back in the day kind of wouldn't fly today. And so, yes, it's possible. It's possible that a man who's worked and got his feet wet in a profession, has had time to step out, has a different mentality when looking at it and thinks to himself, yes, I can change and adapt to this new game of football. In fact, I have an example of a coach who does some of the things that I do or would do, and they run the ball a lot. The Detroit Lions run the ball a lot, and they use their backs in very interesting ways in the screen game. They had a lot of trick plays, it was years of building their roster, but I believe that is the type of coach Rex Ryan absolutely could be. Now, will the Jets do it? I don't know if they'll do it or not, but I do hope that he gets an interview, because I'll tell you this, all right? There is not another coach in the NFL that cares more about the New York Jets than Rex Ryan. And you know what? That's got to mean something somewhere. He's not some kind of bum. The last time the Jets were good, he was the coach. So if you brought your argument to Rex, well, when you were here last time, Rex, it didn't end very well. Well, how has it been since I left? How has it been since I left? It's been a bunch of garbage. That's what it's been. So can I learn? Yes, I can learn. And there's nobody that's going to outcoach me defensively. And that's the type of mentality that Rex is going to have. So to me, I think, and absolutely 100%, he should get an interview. He should definitely get an interview. This is the only coach that actually wants to coach the New York Jets. So that's first. So he should definitely at least get an interview. Even if you don't want to hire him, just entertain the idea a little bit. He's the only guy that actually talks favorably about your franchise and wants to be here. And he is a legitimate coach. He would just have to put a team together that's believable. Because remember, that little team that that's put together, the 33 or whatever, is going to be the one that's going to be informing Woody Johnson about what's going on. And so if Rex doesn't bring an offensive coordinator with him that would meet the standards of today's play, I don't think that interview would go very far anyways. But yes, I wouldn't be against bringing Rex Ryan back. Other coaches have come back to other franchises before with success, without success. Again, what I don't want from the New York Jets is this. I don't want the New York Jets to hire a college coach that's never coached in the NFL before. I don't want him to hire a coordinator who's never coached before. I don't want someone where Woody can come in and start to point. Hey, I want to do this. You should do this. You should do this. I want a guy that's going to stand firm and say, Woody, with all due respect, I'm going to need you to like kind of kick rocks here in a sense and let us do what we need to do. And I don't think that's going to happen unless it's a candidate that is sought after around the league. And if that's the case, I don't think that candidate is ultimately coming to the New York Jets. So again, I told you there's going to be openings out there, and the Jets aren't going to be the first ones that people are going to become swooping in. And especially if they have to keep Rodgers just because of the circumstances of what they are. So for me, and look how many careers have been damaged of coaches coming here to coach. And whether it's fair to say, hey, it was their fault, they were the coaches, Woody's the owner, but at the end of the day, coach is a coach. There's been too much coaching talent that's kind of come in here and left and done good in other places, and players that have come in and left and done other places, that it kind of just, you start to see like maybe it's just the environment in which the owner lets the team kind of stew and sit in. And so I'm very interested to see in the offseason of who's going to be brought here, but it's not going to be the pick of the litter. And I don't want a guy who has been passed around the whole entire league, because who is that, and so it sucks. It's a really crappy situation to be in as a Jet fan, because you do see that there is talent there, and a lot of these guys are going to want out, and it could get bad. It could get worse before it gets better. And that's okay, because I think that the Jets have, for a long period of time, playing these shortcuts gets you nowhere. So we come down to the Jets versus the Dolphins in a stink bowl. And it always seems like when the expectations aren't very high, the Jets and the Dolphins always meet each other on the last game of the season. I remember one game was the last game of the season where Geno Smith went completely off on the Dolphins in Miami. Those a few years back, that was a fun one. And you're imagining yourself what Geno is going to be in the future. It's just, and now we sit here, how many years later, still waiting. But Dano Jets, hey man, I appreciate it. Thank you for coming in. I don't forget you YouTube guys. We're still trying to build our page. We're mostly on Facebook, and so YouTube is our next venture. But the Jets are sure sucking the life out of us, so we're just trying to hang on. But shout out to JR, who does all our great graphics and our video here on the show. He is a godsend, so I really appreciate him doing everything that we have here. But, the Jets-Dolphins, this could be Aaron Rodgers' last game as a Jet, or it could be his last game as a professional altogether. If you guys are looking for Aaron Rodgers to not be on this team next year, what you want is, you don't want him to get cut. You want him to retire. that would be, and honestly, if you want to do the Jets a favor, if the Jets aren't interested in bringing him back and Aaron Rodgers wants to leave on good footing, retire then, because then that way the Jets don't have to pay you and we kind of get off the hook of it and you kind of get off the hook, but it's just a stain on you. And then you can always come back later and just be like, oh, I'm unretired now. And then they can work that all that kind of other stuff out later. But the way that I see it is Jets probably get a win here. I don't even think Tua's playing. I think Huntley's playing. So, this is going to be one of those games where it's just like, you're going to be very relaxed. You're gonna be very relaxed this game because it's over. The season is over. You can now, the season's over. Your terrible fantasy football team is done and over with. And now you could just focus on betting. You could focus on playoff betting. You could focus on the New York Knicks. You got the Mets and the Yankees gearing up here pretty soon. Forget about the Rangers. Just da-da-da-da. It's out of your mind. You're not thinking about it. The Rangers are gone. And we're just focusing on the Knicks. And we're focusing on the Mets. And we're focusing on the Yankees. And if we're real New Yorkers there, we're focusing on the Buffalo Bills too, right? Aren't we? Not me personally. I'm not a huge fan of the Buffalo Bills. But I am a fan of the Lions. And I hope that the Lions win the Super Bowl if the Jets can't. And obviously we know the Jets aren't going to the Super Bowl this year. So I hope that the Lions win because I like the way that they play football. They play football the way it's meant to be played, tough. There's no excuses. Next man up mentality. They've lost a ton of defenders this year, and they still just come out there and they're cranking that offense. They took a rehash quarterback that went. Imagine going to the Super Bowl and Jared Goff, and then they tell you you're a loser and one of the worst quarterbacks in the league, and then they trade you to the Lions of all teams. So it's like, not only did hey, man, yeah, you're a good play caller, but I was the quarterback of this team. We went to a Super Bowl, and you trade me to the Lions, and what did Jared Goff do? He didn't complain. He didn't whine. He didn't fall into a shell. He believed. He focused on his craft, and then look at him now, man. Turned his career around and has the Lions playing against Sam Darnold for the division and the number 1 seed in the NFC. Now, a lot of people want to know, because I'm not talking about the Jets versus Dolphins anymore, because we already know that the Jets are probably going to win this game. Aaron Rodgers is going to play okay. And then there's going to be a lot of talk of whether he comes back or not. But the way that I look at it is like this. I lost my point, JR. Where was I talking about? I started thinking, are you paying attention, JR? What was I talking about, man? Completely lost my train of thought now, man.
I was not paying attention, my bad.
You see, I'm not here. You see, guys, somebody's got to be paying attention. My brain's going a mile a minute. I just lost. Oh, yeah, Sam Darnold. That's right. Talking about Sam Darnold. Somebody said, is Sam Darnold coming back to the Jets? You are out of your mind if you think that this man and his agent is going to allow Sam Darnold to go back to the New York Jets. You're out of your mind. And I would lose so much respect for Sam Darnold if he came back to the New York Jets. I don't even care if they overpaid him $50 million over market value just to come back to the Jets, which they won't have the money to do that because they'll be paying for Aaron Rodgers, which is why it doesn't make any sense. But anyways, still, Sam Darnold wouldn't come back. Why? Why would you do that? Look at how many years it took Sam Darnold to dig himself out. This is the same path that Geno Smith had to take, and it took him a couple of more years because he didn't get the opportunities that Sam Darnold got with the Panthers right after the Jets to be able to really do that. It took Geno a while to be able to get that opportunity. But Sam had the Panthers, then he went to the 49ers to learn behind Shanahan, and then he is here again with the Vikings, taking that next step in his career. I'm only going somewhere where they're either going to have a similar offense or someone who I really think that their offense tailors to my offensive play and they have weapons. I'm not going to no crappy teams, nothing like that. I'm going to a team, a good franchise. How about this? Imagine Sam Darnold. I don't know what's happening with Russell Wilson. I don't know what they decide to do with him, but Sam Darnold with the Steelers. Sam Darnold going back to the 49ers. If the 49ers aren't 100% on Purdy, then you can go ahead and do something with Sam Darnold. But Sam Darnold, what's up, Mike? Sam Darnold is not coming back to the New York Jets. And if he does, I'll lose respect for him because that is not the first place he should go to take that next step in his career and potentially become one of those really good quarterbacks for the next 5 to 10 years. Remember, he's only 25, 26 years old or 27 years old or something like that. I don't know, but he's right around that age, right? He's really, really young, Sam. And so it wasn't that long ago that he really has to make a smart decision for himself. He's not coming to the Jets, guys. The Jets are not signing any big-time quarterbacks. They have a $30 million hole. And so, no, Sam, I would love to try Sam Darnold again, but he shouldn't come here. The Vikings shouldn't let Sam Darnold out the door. They don't know what this McCarthy kid's leg is going to look like, to be all honest with you. So if I was them, I would pause on that, and I would sign Sam to a deal. And then, hey, if McCarthy comes and he looks that good, then I can always trade him because there's plenty of teams that are looking for young quarterbacks. And at that time, McCarthy would have like 3 years in the league or 2-3 years in the league learning. And so then maybe you can just, maybe get a second round, third round pick or, a second and a fourth or something for him. And then Sam is your quarterback. But you don't let Sam walk out the door when you see how good he plays in your offense. How dumb can people be? This is like, you don't even know. You have no clue what McCarthy is going to be. He could be complete garbage trash. You don't know. You got a sure thing in the building. You keep it there, brother. You keep it there. You don't know what's going on over there with this guy coming back from a gruesome leg injury. So if the Vikings let Sam Darnold go anyways, they're a bunch of big dummies, especially when you're dealing with a team like the Lions who are not going anywhere. These guys are young. These guys are going to keep this around for the next couple of years. So it's going to be really tough, really, really, really tough. But hey, listen, man, the way that I see it here with the New York Jets is that it's going to be a tough offseason. There's going to be a lot of guys crying about getting off the team. And it's starting with Garrett Wilson, and I don't blame him. He's been through a lot of different quarterbacks, whole new regime change, a potential rebuild as well. It's just one of those things where when you look at it, how can you continue to root for this team year after year? It has to be because your family passed it to you. It's not because you actually want to. I don't think anyone actually wants to think or be a Jet fan like anymore. Like it's, you know what I mean? It's just, it's getting old to the point that, it's disgusting. And then with the owner and everything, it's an uncertain future. But the one thing I know is that somehow, some way, I'm going to unwrinkle myself here, pull myself out of the dark corners of my sports torture and try to deliver you guys a program. Now, the schedule is going to be changing up as we move forward. This will be the last episode until the Super Bowl week. Super Bowl week, we'll talk a little bit of Super Bowl. We'll catch us up on any type of Jets news that has happened since then. And then we'll start to, from there, give our grades out. We'll do the offense, we'll do the defense, and then we're going to disappear for a while again. Now, I'm going to be writing articles all along the way and different things like that. It's just the show's going to slow down, give us a chance to kind of catch up with our own lives and kind of just like refocus and recenter and see what we want to do here. JR does great work. I do great work. Ty does great work. Victor does great work. And we just want to make sure that everybody is still enjoying it. We've lost a lot of fans, not because of the program, just because people are just getting really tired about keeping up with the New York Jets. I mean, I've been doing this for quite a few years now, and we've never had a winning season on the show, so it's hard to get everyone jazzed up about listening to the team when the team is an absolute dumpster fire that keeps raising their ticket prices. So, the way I see it is hang on for dear life if football is the only sport that you watch. And but I would suggest, again, Knicks and Mets and Yankees coming up and get invested maybe in UFC or learn how to draw, right? Or get on the treadmill, lift some weights, do something productive, because this could be an 18, 19, at least 17-ish no playoff type of drought if these moves that come here aren't established. If we don't get the right head coach, and Woody is still dabbling, This isn't going to get better anytime soon. But listen, guys, I appreciate the support. I think the Jets win 23-17 this week, and that'll be it, man. It's a wrap. The season's over. We made it. Most of us are still alive. The ones that didn't make it, I'm sorry you didn't make it. God rest. And we'll see you next season. As we always say, JETS, 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 Jets.
Welcome to Jets Guru, Jets Content with Daniel Smith every Wednesday night as usual. Welcome to Jets Guru, Jets Content with Daniel Smith every Wednesday night as usual. Welcome to Jets Guru, Jets Content with Daniel Smith every Wednesday night as usual. Welcome to Jets Guru, Jets Content with Daniel Smith every Wednesday night as usual. Welcome to Jets Guru, Jets Content with Daniel Smith every Wednesday night as usual.